YouTube Ozzico and the Godows is back, and today I'm ranking every single NFL team from worst to first based off their 2023 draft class here. If you want a way more in-depth breakdown of the draft class with a grade, that is all in one recent video, so check that out. And we have other videos up there on the channel covering the NFL draft winners, grades, and then undrafted free agency in 2024 weights early mock. So join us on our channel, like, subscribe to notifications on. Twitter and sponsors, interested in those, links pinned in the comments. Remember, everybody got better. Every team on here got better no matter where they are ranked. Number 32, I'm kind of going a little faster here. The in-depth videos you see below me, this is what the thumbnail looks like. I would recommend checking that out if you want more in-depth plus grades. 32 is going to be the San Francisco 49ers. Of course, didn't have a pick in rounds 1 or 2. A little confused about their plan, taking a kicker early. I did like the picks like Darrell Luter and Jalen Graham, but not extreme value in this draft. They did get some help, though. Everybody got better. Every team in the NFL got better during the draft here. 31 is going to be the Jacksonville Jaguars. A weird draft. With that big of a haul, you wish they got more value. They got more hit picks, based on my board. I did like the three in a row, which were Yasir Abdullah, Antonio Johnson, Parker Washington. Love that. Other than that, some confusing picks, some reaches, and there were some that were just okay, solid picks, starting with Anton Harrison, who should get some playing time early. The Jags coming at 31. 30, the Cowboys. Some reaches for the Cowboys here, not extreme value. I mean, I do love the picks like DeMarvion Overshown and Asim Richards, the tackle from North Carolina. And then you got guys like Schoonmaker from Michigan, he's going to be productive for the Cowboys. He's going to be very productive, but everyone agrees it still was early, and maybe you could have found the same value, the same production with the tight end in the 4th round, or at least not reaching for a tight end. So, but still, a top NFC team still does get better here. 29 was the Miami Dolphins. Limited amount of picks. Thought they did their job for the most part with the limited number of picks. The Cam Smith pick is very intriguing to me. It's a good ball player. I think they'll use him in multiple different spots. 28, going to be the LA Chargers. I can't wait to watch Quentin Johnson in that offense. There wasn't really any standout picks to me. Some solid value with McFadden, I suppose, a little later. But, just kind of just did what they needed to do. Nothing that really stands out. Maybe some picks that were a little early. 27, the Falcons, kind of in the same boat. Nothing that really stands out. I wasn't a huge Matthew Bergeron guy. I do like the way this offensive line is coached, and he could be the last piece of the puzzle. We will see. Robinson's going to be extremely productive, but there wasn't. Clark Phillips, a decent pick, but, nothing that really stands out about this draft, but they got better. They made some solid picks. Just, again, everybody overall did pretty well. 26 going to be the Raiders. Tyree Wilson, if used correctly, could be a monster. You can't stick him on only just the edge. You have to use him as a versatile piece that he is. I want to see him used inside, used as a mismatch problem, because he can stop the run and he has enough power to play inside as well. Michael Mayer was a big-time pick. That guy's a stud. He's going to catch a lot of balls from Jimmy Garoppolo. After that, some surprises, some reaches, some guys that'll get some early playing time for them. I was very surprised by the Trey Tucker pick, that early where they took him. Waited a little bit for a corner. Interesting draft. What they focused on. But they got some pieces that could help them out pretty early. 25 is going to be the Buccaneers. Another one of those drafts where it's kind of balanced. I was a little surprised they focused on defense somewhat early. I know there was that Malk pick in between the two defenders, but I think it's a unique draft at the same time. I mean, you get a tackle that's going to move to guard and play well there. You get Cansey, who is, obviously projected to the NFL, but he gets after the quarterback. You get Yaya Diaby, who's kind of a do-it-all pass rusher there, who has a lot of upside. So it's kind of a unique draft. Trey Palmer was somewhat of a steal of a pick as well. Maybe nothing that's super flashy about this class. This is where it starts to get tough, because 24 is a low rank for the Commanders, but I kind of like their draft as a sneaky draft here. Forbes, kind of get labeled as, unfortunate thing is he's gonna get compared to Christian Gonzalez pretty much his whole career, which is tough. But I do love Forbes. I think he'll be a really good football player. I think it's a good fit, and they got a bunch of good fits and good solid players here throughout this draft. The next two picks after the first round, or the next couple picks, or like the Stromberg pick, Quan Martin, maybe you think a little early, but then after that, some good value picks in there as well. I think Braden Daniels gets some playing time early. KJ Henry could be, the Clemson pass rusher could be a piece early on in his career because, who knows what's going to happen with their current pass rushers. So, decent draft for the Commanders. 23 is going to be the Buffalo Bills. I love the way they started. Kincaid's bigger. He's an interesting pick because it's bigger than what the value. When we grade, when we rank, it's about the value of the pick. It's right around where he should go. It's an interesting pick at the time because they have Dawson Knox, but it's a bigger pick than that. It will be bigger on the field if you get what I'm saying. I think you're going to see them use 2 tight ends a lot more. Some 12 personnel, and it could change things and make them a harder matchup for teams. So that actually could be bigger down the stretch of the season in the playoffs. Cyrus Torrence is a really good pick. So I love the top 2 picks. After that, nothing crazy. Couple reaches. Nick Broker pick was solid. A little top heavy, but it was pretty damn good at the top there for the Bills. 22, the Detroit Lions, who had a strange draft. I'm used to ranking Brad Holmes' drafts very high. Last year, number 2, and the year before, number 1. This year, a little bit down there, but there was still some Brad Holmes type of picks that will be studs and maybe stars in the long run. Jahmyr Gibbs, and people are kind of in the comments lately in recent videos kind of been trying to convince me that Gibbs is a good pick. You're trying to convince the wrong guy. I'm a big Gibbs fan. I've been a big Gibbs fan. I don't have a problem with that pick. It's a surprise pick. It's not the greatest pick in the world. I think it's a phenomenal ball player, though. So you're trying to convince the wrong guy. I'm on board with Gibbs being a fantastic player. Did they really get that much better today with that pick? Moving on from Swift and Williams, Montgomery, and Gibbs. You could argue that it's probably about the same, but and I'm a huge Brian Branch guy. I guess the question is, is it going to be because he's best in the slot? So is he going to be sitting behind C.J. Gardner-Johnson for a year? The good news is that Branch pick was smart because he's a great player, great value, but Gardner-Johnson's probably not going to be around for more than a year because he's going to be seeking that huge contract again next year, right? So some upside, like steal of picks. There's picks that I really like. Antoine Green, 7th-round pick. I love that pick. From North Carolina. Could have been a 4th or a 5th rounder. But then how much of an impact you get right now from those guys? And I like Hooker as well, but how much of an impact you get now? And they're talking about extending Goff, which would, I guess, make the Hooker pick more confusing. But and then there's picks that, little bit of reaches. Jack Campbell, I was very shocked about that pick. Will he find playing time early on as well? And then a guy like Sam Laporta will probably be productive. Right now. I thought there were better tight ends that would have been, Michael Mayer would have been more productive. And they really like Brock Wright in terms of an inline guy. So Mayer's better than Laporta overall, but he's good in line. We kind of have an inline guy, so let's get a guy that can also play in line, but he also likes to play in the slot, even lined up out wide. So they kind of went need over best talent there, which even if and he is Laporta going to be productive, I still don't agree with it either way. And trading up big time, what they trade away for Broderick Martin, kind of a developmental type guy there. So this is a big wait and see long term for the Lions. We're kind of used to them getting instant crazy impact, and I think Gibbs will be an instant impact, and Branch could be. If he can get on the field right away. So it's a weird draft, kind of the ups and the downs there. But at the end of the day, there still are some very good value picks within there. 21 is going to be the Vikings. I actually have 3 NFC North teams in a row here. Here's 2 of them. Here's the second one. The Vikings. The Vikings are, this draft isn't super sexy. I guess Addison pick kind of replacing Thielen. That's pretty flashy, I suppose. But other than that, they kind of did what they needed to do. They got guys right around where they should go. They're good picks. There's nothing like wow about the draft. Maybe a little bit on the boring side, but they're still good picks. There's some good value in there. I thought the only one that was a little early was Blackman, but I do like the fit. So it's kind of one of those drafts where it's like it's not they did their job. They did all right for what they had. They did pretty good, but it's not the sexiest draft in the world, if you will. Number 20 is going to be the Green Bay Packers, who had a longer list of picks than maybe the Vikings, I suppose. They did have some a little bit of reaches. I mean, Van Ness doesn't seem like a reach. He was 31 on my board, which everything I do, grades, rankings, winners, losers, is kind of what it's based on. I do like the fit, and I do think he has a lot of upside and could be good for the Packers. But at the end of the day, it was a little early. And then Jayden Reed, who I thought that was early, and they took him over some better receivers. The Packers, they're definitely interesting when it comes to receivers. But I do like what they did with getting some weapons. They got Reed, and they got 2 solid tight ends right around where they should go. for Jordan Love there. And they, some good defensive players as well. The 7th round, they got a bunch of steals in the 7th round. I thought Carl Brooks, he was before the 7th round, was a good steal, and he can be moved around, used in multiple spots. So it's a lengthy draft. There's some where it's like good players, but a little bit early, a little bit of a reach. Yeah, there's some good players, some good fits, and there's some steals at the end of the draft. You get a little bit of everything here. So I ranked the Packers at 20. And then, so we had 3 NFC North teams ended up right in a row. Then 19, the Ravens. I think you can compare to the Vikings draft a little bit. It's kind of short and sweet. It's not the sexiest draft, not the flashiest draft in the world. They kind of got in there and did what they needed to do. I do think, again, we compare to the Vikings draft. It is very similar. They both took receivers in the first round. I do like the Vikings pick in the first round more. But the rest of the draft, maybe the Ravens were a little flashier, getting somewhat of steals and like Trenton Simpson and Voorhees down in the 7th. And I do think a guy like Caillou Blue Kelly is a pretty good pick where they got him, and he could be used early on. So that'd probably be what splits the difference in a very similar draft class there. So the Ravens are at 19. 18, the Kansas City Chiefs. Yeah, another one that's kind of maybe not the flashiest one in the world to people, but I thought the Chiefs got in there, did what they needed to do. They got some good fits. I like Shamari Connors as a Chiefs guy. It's a really good fit. Even Anyudike Uzama is not the best pick in the world. It's not a bad pick at all, but it's a good fit. Wanya Morris is a really solid fit there. Rashee Rice, he started to grow on me. It's a good fit as well. So it's kind of a Chiefs draft here. They got their guys they need to get. They're at 18. 17 is going to be the LA Rams. Lengthy draft, a lot of players. And, they got some guys that are going to see the field early. Steve Avila, probably going to start. Byron Young, between him and Nick Hampton, one or both could start. Zach Evans, I think it's a late round steal. I think he's going to be very productive for a rookie running back there. Very productive. He should get some action. If Stafford goes down, Stetson Bennett should get some action. Some serious, depth on the offensive line with the Georgia tackle. So they got pieces here and there. The Davis Allen pick, the Clemson tight end, I think that's pretty solid as well. It's a lengthy draft here. They got some pieces that can help them. Maybe there's nothing like super wow. I think the Zach Evans pick might be, but I'm going to rank them at 17. The Bears at 16. The Bears came in and got better here with some additions that they needed. Minus edge. I thought for sure they would add an edge rusher, but I was surprised they did not add any of that. But they got better on the interior. Yeah, some guys they took a little early, but I do like Darnell Wright at the top. I think Tyler Scott was a good pick. I think Terrell Smith was a good pick. They loaded up on corners. How much are we going to see those corners play right away, though? Kind of playing for the future there. So overall, the Bears definitely got better with this draft. Everybody got better, but the Bears got better. Some solid picks in there. They're at 16. 15, the Denver Broncos, a short draft. I thought it was really good for a smaller draft here. I thought there was some really good fits. I thought there was some steals in there. Fits and steals. All the guys they got. Marvin Mims was an incredible value, but I like him a lot. He was a top 10 receiver for me. After that, it just fits and steals across the board. So especially the standout one is Drew Sanders. I'm very curious to see what they're going to do at Riley Moss, but for a shorter draft, I thought this was a heck of a job for the Denver Broncos. I guess the knock is how much are we going to see all these guys right away? I think Drew Sanders will see a bit. If they trade Judy or Sutton, then Mims a bit more. They trade up to get him in the second round. They got plans for him. So I was impressed with the limited amount of picks here. 14, the Panthers, also limited amount of picks, but they got an elite prospect in Bryce Young. I love me some Jonathan Mingo. Getting the NC State guard, that's a guy that can possibly start right away in Chandler Zavala. And then you got Jamie Robinson, who can play the slot. He can play, in the back end as well. You got a good player there. And then DJ Johnson, it felt a little early, but it's an upside guy, and they need a pass rusher that could fit. He could fit there. So I thought across the board a good draft there for the Panthers, even though it was a little short. 13, the Saints. The Saints kind of just got the job done here. I don't know if there's anything like super flashy about this draft. I do like the fits a lot, guys like Isaiah Foskey, but they just got good players, kind of right around where they should go. There's really no knock on this draft. It's a good draft across the board. There's nothing like wow in terms of the steal, but it was good across the board. They did what they needed to do and got some good fits and guys that should get somewhat of early playing time here. So they are 13. 12, Tennessee Titans. Yeah, Titans, as the draft was going on, I'm like, do I like this draft? But after sitting down, like, yeah, it was a pretty good draft. I mean, getting Peter Skronsky, or if you saw that video of that little baby with the camera on him, Peter Skronsky, I'm probably going to be calling him that from now on here. So that's a really good pick. And a start at guard, could play tackle for them. Will Levis, I mean, the upside quarterback in the second round is fantastic. Even if he doesn't work out, that's worth it in that spot. You're not wasting a first round pick on it. They're getting Tyjae Spears. I love the Jalen Duncan pick where they got him. So the Titans did a pretty good job. It's kind of like, kind of balanced, and they got some flashy picks in there as well. So they're number 12 to me. Number 11 is going to be the Arizona Cardinals. Cardinals, on top of a longer, lengthier class, they added a good amount of draft picks for the future as well. So I do like that. And I do like some fits there. I mean, they got like B.J. Ojulari is a standout fit, great value pick. John Gaines, another big one there. Just picks like that throughout this class that we could see, somewhat of early playing time as well for the Cardinals, who are some sort of a retool or rebuild. So Cardinals are at number 11. Number 10 is going to be Cincinnati Bengals. I like their class a lot. They got, tough for a team like that to get better, but they went out and got better. I was a huge Miles Murphy guy. I love the DJ Turner fit. I love the Jordan Battle fit. He'll get early playing time. Chase Brown should help them, should give him some early playing time. Charlie Jones can take over that slot role after one more year of Tyler Boyd. So, some good picks for the Bengals here. A team that didn't have a ton of room to get better, found a way to get better. So they make the top 10. 9, the New England Patriots. Love the way they started this. After 3 picks, I'm like, man, are the Patriots winning this entire draft right now? They might have been. Christian Gonzalez, the best pick of the first round. I love the fit of Keon White. I love the fit of Marte Mapu, who I was a big fan of. But then they went downhill for a little bit. The next 2 picks, you get a kicker in there, you get a center that I have a 7th round grade on. The Patriots got a plan for him, obviously, but it's still a good draft. And then they kind of pick it up again. City Sal, love that pick. Antonio Mafia, another good pick. They got a lot of interior offensive linemen. Kayshon Boutte. They got a list of picks that were Douglas as well. That were very solid in this class. And they started off hot with the top 3. So it's a top 10 class for me. A little different than last year. So number 9 for the New England Patriots. Number 8 is going to be the Cleveland Browns. And man, for not having a first or a second round pick, I think it's rare to see a team with that get ranked in the top 10, and they did it. They're at 8. This might be one of the best draft classes without a first or a second that I've ever seen. I think Tillman's going to catch a lot of balls in year 1. Siaki Ika is going to help them. They needed a nose tackle like that. They get steals with DeJuan Jones, Whippler, that's both Ohio State, offensive linemen, Cam Mitchell. They have picks like this throughout the whole draft. Every single pick they made was good. I guess how much of an impact will it make year 1? I think Tillman will make a bigger one than you think. Watch out for Isaiah McGuire as well, but they come in at number 8. I was very much impressed, especially given I didn't have a first or a second. 7's going to be the New York Football Jets. Does anybody say that? Or is it just the Football Giants? I think I just made that up. Pretty sure. We're going to roll with it. I actually like Will McDonald. I love the fit as well. I know a lot of people thought that was way too early. I did not. I was not one of those people. Tippmann's a solid pick in the second. Love me some Carter. I love the Pittsburgh guys. Carter Warren and Israel Abanikanda. Those are steals there. I guess how much are they going to play right away is the question. But overall, 3 guys on my guys list with Will McDonald and the 2 Pittsburgh guys with Carter Warren and Israel Abanikanda. And I thought Tippmann was the best center in the class. It also had upside at the guard position, so it can help the Jets in multiple ways there. Other than a heck of a job. Zach Kuntz, I thought, was a steal in the 7th as well. The Jets got some good value. They got better. They got some good fits for this Aaron Rodgers-led team now. So I got the Jets at 7. I got the Eagles at 6. Jalen Carter's a great pick at the top. They did trade up one spot, but which I always hate, but I love the pick still. Jalen Carter is an absolute stud. And Nolan Smith, that's right around where I thought Nolan Smith should go. So I think the people that ranked the Eagles in the top 3 maybe, which I'm pretty close here. A lot of these teams are close. They had a great draft. But I think the people that do rank them at the top probably had, because there's a lot of people that did have Nolan Smith like top 15, top 10 on their board. So that makes sense that those people have them as maybe the top draft. He went right around where I thought he would go. So overall, it's a good pick, good fit. Tyler Steen, I wasn't high on, but I like the idea of maybe moving him at guard. Sidney Brown should get some action early on. Keely Ringo was a steal of a pick. How soon are we going to see him? I think as he should sit behind Slay and Bradbury there. So overall, it's a really good pick. The Eagles kind of needed this because they lost a lot of guys in free agency, so they get better. I can't wait to watch. It's a team I'm excited about, watching the Georgia defense in NFL, in the NFL atmosphere here, though. It's going to be a lot of fun to see. So the Eagles are at 6-5, the New York Football Giants. I call them the New York Football Jets, so we got to even say it again for the Giants, even though it only makes sense for the Giants. They did a heck of a job as well. They traded up one spot, and the two teams that trade up, well, I hate trading up one spot so much, but the two teams that trade up one spot, they made me kind of like, usually I would grade a team poorly for trading up one spot, but I graded them very well because they got two really good fit and players. Deonte Banks, perfect fit, great player here. And then John Michael Schmitz will plug and play, start at center. Some people were like, wow, with that pick. Not really me. It's right around where you should go, but it's a solid pick overall. Jalen Hyatt was an absolute steal of a pick. They needed a big-time receiver. I think they got one in Jalen Hyatt. Daniel Jones, hopefully can get him the ball consistently because that is a big-time playmaker there. Eric Gray, I thought that was a steal of a pick as well. I think he's their second best running back, and I think they'll realize they might be okay if they don't want to pay, because that offense, will they want to pay a running back, Barkley, insane money next year? Maybe not. Maybe it would make sense not to. And then you have a guy like Eric Gray, and of course you can add another one as well. I think Gray's that good where they may be considering that. He's nowhere near as good as Barkley, but you get my point there. So they have good picks, throughout this. Their entire draft, some steals, some really good fits, a lot of pieces to make them a lot better right now. Onto the top 4. Before I got the Seattle Seahawks, a pretty good haul. And the more I look at this one, the more I like it too. You sit there and you see, okay, this guy, Witherspoon's going to make an impact right away. Plug and play starting corner. They may have created an elite cornerback duo for the future there. Jack Smith-Njigba, something they have not had. They've had good receivers, Metcalf and Lockett. They haven't had that sure thing slot receiver. It's going to make that receiver unit nasty. It's going to make Geno Smith even better. It's going to open up the run. The run's going to open up the pass. Speaking of the run, they add Zach Charbonnet, who is very solid. He actually I think will be closer to even than you think with splitting the carries there with Kenneth Walker. So Charbonnet can catch the ball very, very well too. So like that. Then you get Derek Hall, who's a really good fit, can make an impact early on. Anthony Bradford can play guard early on for them. I think another running back, but McIntosh a pretty good steal in the 7th round. Cam Young isn't the sexiest pick in the world, but you needed a guy that can plug some holes and stop the run, and there you go. You get a guy like that. So the Seahawks got a lot of guys that are going to make an impact, like last year's class. A lot of guys will make an impact right away. Who gets number 3? It's going to be the Houston Texans. I mean, it helps. Very much helps that you got my number 1 and my number 2 player in the draft. The same team got my number 1 and my number 2 is the Houston Texans, C.J. Stroud and Will Anderson, so that's just instant impact. You get a lot better at quarterback, even if there's growing pains for Stroud, but usually the very accurate quarterbacks, the growing pains aren't too bad, and I think they got a much better coaching staff now too, so and then you get Will Anderson, who should be productive right away, especially in D'Amico Ryan's defense, and you got pieces throughout the draft. You got a couple of interior offensive linemen that can plug in right away. Scruggs, who they like. But even going down to Patterson, I think it's a steal down there, and he's a guy that can play right away. Kind of a pro-ready type guy. Feels like a potential starter day one as a coverage linebacker for D'Amico Ryans. I mean, Horton could play pretty early on. So you got, and I'm forgetting Tank Dell, who's kind of growing on me as I'm sitting on this. I think he's going to be pretty productive right away as well. And apparently Stroud was a fan of him, what I heard was correct there. So it's a good draft all the way through. Some guys will make early impact. It really does boost them up and help them that they got my number 1 to my number 2 player. If they had just one of those guys It wouldn't be 3. It wouldn't be 3, but it would still be a pretty decent draft, obviously better than decent. All right, on to the top 2. There are 2. If you watch the grades, you can watch it underneath. The thumbnail is what is underneath me right now, but with more in-depth breakdown. But if you watch the grades, the top 2 both got A pluses for me, which is somewhat rare, but both got A pluses. They both were insane draft classes. Both insane draft classes. It's really a 1A and 1B situation. It's tough to split them up. They both did an insane job. Like some of the best draft classes I ever seen. Really, was blown away. So I had to split hairs here and split these 2 teams up. I'm gonna put the Colts at 2, and that does mean the Steelers are at 1. Just an incredible. And I was kind of arguing with myself on who to put at 1. And my argument for the Colts, and my favorite thing about the Colts draft is they had so many picks. Not only did they bring in so many players, so many good players, but if you have that many picks, you're kind of bound to kind of miss. So they're bound to get a reach on my board. And I guess Evan Hull was a little bit, I thought maybe an early 7th round guy. But they really didn't, with all those picks, they did not have a bad pick. It starts with Anthony Richardson, who's like a boomer bust guy. And so, I think the biggest boomer bust guys is a coincidence here. I thought were in this draft were Anthony Richardson and Broderick Jones. And I was kind of leaning towards the boom. I'm staying optimistic they're going to hit their boom. And that's both the Colts and Steelers' number 1 picks, the top 2 drafts. But a lot of upsides, kind of what the pick should have been. But then you get Julius Brents, I'm a big fan of. He'll start right away. But a steal in Josh Downs. A little bit later on, there's a steal in Darius Rush. Adetomiwa Adebawore. He's a little bit of a project and a gamble, but it's a steal in terms of value there. And then just get good players. Will Mallory, Daniel Scott. These are good players around this range. Jake Witt was my favorite small school sleeper. He's got a lot of upside. Jalen Jones down there. Just pick after pick is a good pick. You got Blake Freeland in there in the middle rounds. Pick after pick is a good pick, and there's guys that are going to start right away, and there's really good value, like steals, like Josh Downs, a big one. I thought Darius Rush is a big one. I'm a huge Julius Brents fan. So it is a crazy good draft. Like, I literally think I'd have to go back and look at other drafts, but at the time of right after the draft, I think these 2 classes, the Colts and the Steelers, are some of just the very best I've ever seen. Before we get to see them play, of course, just judging off, the talent they brought in based on my board here. It's unbelievable. It's phenomenal. So, it's a A++ draft for the Colts. It's really a 1A, 1B situation. And my argument for the Colts over the Steelers was they got a long list of players, and it's pretty difficult to not miss. I know it's hard to say hit or miss now because they haven't played, but in terms of my board, to not miss really with any. So that was kind of rare, and that was impressive. But I did go with the Steelers at 1. And the reason for the Steelers, the Steelers versus the Colts, they have arguments on both sides, is I think they have just incredible instant impact. And there will be some instant impact guys in the Colts. And a lot of it is because they had big-time holes in some spots. Steelers weren't the best team in the world. They also were not a bad team. But I thought they were kind of a balanced team with pretty good talent on that roster. So for them to get guys that are just such instant impact that I think multiple guys are going to start and make a big impact right away, I think is pretty phenomenal here. At 1, there is a boomer bust guy in Broderick Jones, but you needed one more piece of that puzzle, and that was left tackle, and I think he's going to hit that upside. I think they're going to coach him well over there. I think it's just about getting a little bit more comfortable. The Steelers have been running a little more outside zone lately. He's going to fit that a lot. And then you got Joey Porter Jr., which was a realistic pick for them in the first round. They get in the second round. They badly needed a starting corner. Not too many holes in this team. Corner was one. They get one in Joey Porter Jr., and I hope they run more zone. I think they will, because I think he would be a very, very good press zone corner, more than man. And some people may disagree, but I strongly agree with my statement there. And then you get Keanu Benton. I had a first-round grade on Keanu Benton, so that helps a lot. He was my number 2 defensive tackle in the class. The guy is a stud. He's got tremendous upside. He plays nose tackle. He plays D tackle. He's dominant at both. He's getting pressure on the quarterback, collapsing pocket, stopping a run. Steelers get him. They steal him where they get him, and he should fit in. I would imagine they start him. That's the only downside, because I want him to play D tackle. He'll probably start at nose tackle maybe. With him, Hayward, Ogunjobi in there, but they'll move those guys around. Then you get Darnell Washington, which is an absolute steal where they got him. And it's such a, people I don't think are realizing how perfect of a fit it is as well. I mean, a team that needed help with blocking, they get it with the Georgia tackle in the first round, but they get it with the Georgia tight end down here as well because he's a big-time blocker. It's like having another tackle out there. And the bonus is he can leak out and catch because he's pretty athletic, has strong hands, a tower of a guy, really good in the red zone. But you could say they have Pat Freiermuth, and they do, and he's very solid. But people don't realize that Zach Gentry had well over 500 snaps last year because they like using multiple tight ends, especially when they got rid of Claypool. They just used multiple tight ends. And they had him in line a bit, and Darnell Washington is just a lot better. So they are going to get a lot out of him. He's going to help them with the blocking, and he's going to be the bonus is he can leak out and catch the football. So that is tremendous. Nick Herbig, I mean, the issue with him was like he was a very productive pass rusher, like a good one, like a good pass rusher. But he just for sure does not have the length, the measurables, whatever. So it's pretty much like I guess this guy has to move to off-ball linebacker, but him going to the Steelers tells me that he's going to play. I mean, they'll probably get creative with him, but he's going to play some pass. He's going to play some edge still, and he's going to, and, you know, him with T.J. Watt, behind T.J. Watt and Alex Highsmith. I think that's a perfect situation there, you know, to kind of get the most out of him and, you know, to maybe hide the negatives there, which are the size, I suppose. And then Corey Trice is one of the ultimate steals of the entire draft. I mean, this was a second-round corner for me. They get him in the 7th because of injury. He played last year, so I'm not really worried about it. You know, he's long, he's physical. I've seen him dominate and press. I've seen him play well in zone and in man. I've seen him use his instincts, and he is one of the best tackling corners in this class. You could actually argue the best tackling corner in this class because he's very consistent with his tackling. So Steelers, Colts, they're both number ones to me. They're the only two teams that got the A+. I am blown away about these classes, about the Colts and the Steelers classes. The Colts, how they made that many picks without, you know, having like a preseason miss, I would say, just based on my board, is astonishing. And the Steelers, the steals they got, the values they got, but the starters they got, but I mean the impact they got from this class, the impact to me is crazy. That's what put him at number one. I mean, the tackle that you needed, you got a blocker on the tight end that you actually use that second tight end a whole lot. The corners, multiple of them that can help you right away. I mean, at the end of the year, though, that might be their best two outside corners on their team, and they can help. Keanu Benton's a stud. He's going to play on the inside there. And the Steelers, Hayward and the Steelers are really good at developing those guys. It's going to be fun. It's going to be really fun there. It's a really good roster, and I think it's a lot of it's due to this draft here. So Steelers end up at number one. So that's my draft rankings there. I go way more in depth about each class on that video that's underneath me. That's the thumbnail. Go click on it. There's grades along with it as well. Way more in depth. So check that out. We also have recent winners videos for each round of the draft, for each day of the draft, and then grades for each round one pick. We got undrafted free agency videos, 2 of them. 2024 Weights Really Mock, we got that. And we have actually an NFL free agency video since that's starting to pick up again as well. So head over to our channel, check all that out. Like, subscribe, turn notifications on while you're there. Check out those links pinned in the comments, sponsors, Twitter, all down there, Discord, things like that. Check it out. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.